Rick Horrow keeping score, all aspects of the sports business. We know it's $1 trillion sports business and more. We're talking about something today that transcends sports, transcends business. Probably social change is the forum that we could talk about here, and we will in a minute, and probably that's the label we could use. What do you say about the passing of probably the most famous man on earth? And for a number of reasons. We've talked a bit, and we will continue to talk about his impact on boxers like Mayweather and the increased purses, MMA, what it meant, the Louisville Lip, and what the sports promotion meant, television technology. There are a whole number of things beyond the ring. But we'll talk about beyond the ring in a number of other ways, specifically today, social change and what happens with the Ali Center, and not only that piece of it, but the Athletes and Social Change Forum and the International Mentoring Day on Ali's birthday last January 17. It's a particularly exclusive kind of interview. Eli Wolff directs the Inclusive Sports Initiative at the Institute for Human-Centered Design in Boston. And he also directs the Sports and Development Program at Brown University. And from 2001 to 2010, he was a manager of research and advocacy at the Center for Sport and Society at Northeastern. Clearly qualified to speak about this broad topic. Eli, how are you?
Great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Your background really quickly and how you got into this, obviously an interesting set of qualifications, but you've told me that you were a member of the U.S. Paralympic soccer team and a member of the national team and competed in several Pan American Games and World Championships. How did you transform from there to being involved with all of these elements of social change and then specifically Ali?
No, excellent. I had a chance to compete as an athlete at the Olympic level, and then I think from that stage I got connected to Richard Lapchick, who's sort of been the godfather of sport and social change and social issues, and he's really become my mentor, really opened my eyes and the doors to see the power of sport and how sport can be a vehicle for social change. And so my work has really focused on issues of disability and social change, but then it also got involved with just athletes, the power that athletes have to have a transformative power in their communities and their societies. And so Richard was the one who introduced me to the Ali Center and the Ali family. And then about 4 years ago, we initiated this forum, this international forum on the role of athletes and power of social change. And so, really it's taken off. A lot of athletes, a lot of ambassadors from around the world, really having that space to have that conversation, to really realize that legacy of Muhammad Ali and how he's really served. And so, really it's really been a sad couple days, of course, but also inspiring in many ways to see all over the world how he has had such an impact on young people, on athletes, and how they think about them. You're seeing tweets, you're seeing messages from athletes, NBA players, professional athletes, Olympians. It's really been amazing to see that the power that Muhammad Ali has had in our lives and in the world.
Eli Wolff, he talks about all of this, and we've had a lot of general tributes, and I shouldn't minimize them, but they are all talking about Ali, the ambassador. We have a real scope here that can describe some of the specific elements of social change. So, for example, the Social Change Forum that I know you were involved with in conjunction with the Ali Center this last April with the theme Creating a Declaration for Human Rights in Sports, a think tank for scope, impact, and framing a declaration of human rights in sports, put some meat on the bones. What does that mean, and what did the conference do?
No, excellent. Each year we've had a forum with a different topic. 1 year was focusing more on the media and conversations in the media about the role of athletes. This past year on the declaration was a little bit more policy focused in terms of, what policies do sport organizations have, the ways that athletes can really utilize their platforms to speak about, human rights and social change issues, and how are we really coming together as a global community around social change and human rights, and whether that's focusing on issues of gender, on race, on sexual orientation, on disability, on environmental issues, on labor rights, on whatever those issues are that athletes and our sports culture really need to be addressing in terms of our broader society. That's really what the forum is about. It's about giving athletes and those organizations working in the space around social change to have the platform to be able to have those conversations. So really it's a chance for there's not really that many places where you can actually be in the location of the Ali Center and actually have that history of that legacy and that inspiration. I think that's really the big thing with athletes is that they're really oftentimes looking for support, looking for a community. Many athletes that are doing social change work are oftentimes isolated. They don't really have that community. And so that's really been a big part of what we've been trying to do is really just build that community so that athletes know that they can be with others, and also that there's a spectrum of this type of work, that it's from going into the community on a couple days a week basis to actually taking up a political or social issue on, in terms of, like the Black Lives Matter or, things like that are more charged and require a little bit more commitment in terms of campaigning and things like that. So it's really a diverse range of topics, but it's always very inspiring, and it's always very important conversations, and oftentimes lead to very tangible kind of actions, whether it's new programs, new organizations, new policies, all that kind of things kind of rolls out as part of the forum.
Well, and clearly it's important for athletes, but it's also important for society. And when you look at some of the people who are listed as supporters, you obviously as an organizer, but Greg Louganis involved, Nancy Hogshead involved, Olympians par excellence, Charles Gwynn of the Muhammad Ali Center involved with the organization. So tell me a little bit specifically about the Ali Center. You're not involved, but you're related, and so give us an idea of the force of that organization and what it might now do after Ali's passing.
Yeah, no, the Ali Center is really this amazing place. It's been around for many years already, and then I think now it's even going to take on an even more of a significance, more of a life in terms of the people. So I think it'll sort of become that mecca, if you will, of that center for sport and social justice. So the Ali Center has been created. It's been more of a museum. So when you go to the Ali Center, you can see a lot of the historical aspects of Muhammad Ali's life. They have an amazing video of his journey, a lot of really great inspirational quotes and experiences and exhibits. So that's really been an amazing part of the Ali Center. And they also host different events and different forums. And so, we basically had an honor and opportunity to start organizing the forum there at the Ali Center to bring people there. But the Ali Center, it really has an educational focus around the core principles, the core values of Muhammad Ali that include, all of his issues, particularly the ones around conviction and respect and dignity. Those are some of the core values that Muhammad Ali has really rallied around that bring people together. And again, another element of that has really been his role as a role model, his role as a mentor to young people, to other athletes, the other boxers and so forth. And that was why when we talked to him about doing a kind of a global initiative around mentorship, that really resonated. And Lonnie Ali and Muhammad and the whole family really got behind that idea around mentoring in terms of that's an important part. You see that every day. You see athletes talking about, who were your mentors? How did you get inspired in your sport, both at a skill level as well as, how do you live your life both on and off the field? So I think that's really been an exciting initiative as well that will carry on, with Muhammad Ali's legacy. And the center, again, if you haven't been, I would encourage everyone to go, because especially anyone who's involved in sport in any way should definitely go there to be inspired and to learn that history of the sports culture.
Well, we all have kind of a duty to now, and hopefully this show in its own small way will help get the word out as well. I find it intriguing and frankly humbling that some of the info that I was made aware of in preparing for this relative to the Social Change Forum in conjunction with the Ali Center, when you take a look at what you call areas of inspiration, Convention on Rights of the Child, Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, UNESCO Charter on Sport, Physical Education, Physical Activity, Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, against apartheid, etc. And so this is clearly way, way, way beyond boxing, and a call for affiliations with UNESCO, the United Nations. So this is really, it's really heavy duty. It's not just I don't want to be negative by just calling it a think tank, but it's way beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's really interesting in terms of sports as a whole is it's really this global movement of sport as the power of sport as a vehicle for social change. It's really taking off globally. I mean, you're seeing thousands of organizations around the world really recognizing the role that sport has and the power that it has. I mean, you're seeing grassroots organizations, you're seeing professional organizations, you're seeing athletes. And so you're really seeing this movement. And really when you look back and seeing one of the pioneers or kind of a catalyst for this movement of seeing the power of sport, you can really look to Muhammad Ali. You can look to like the Billie Jean Kings and Tommy Smith and John Carlos. I mean, there's some athletes historically, but Muhammad Ali has really been one of those, if not the one, you can really point to say he was the inspiration, and he's been the one that has really left this legacy of what sport means in our world. And really what you're seeing now is just as you're looking at how do all the areas of our society have important ramifications in terms of human rights, sports is another area that we have to make sure that people have that respect, have that dignity, have their protections. And so I think that's where this is. I mean, I've been working with the United Nations now for the last, 10 years on a number of the committees. I helped to organize April 6th, which is the International Day of the Power of Sport for Development and Peace. And so, it's really interesting to be involved globally with all these international stakeholders. And then many of the conversations, many of the policy discussions, Muhammad Ali's name and his legacy is oftentimes evoked in terms of helping people concretize it, to say this is what we're talking about. This is how sport has this impact, that it goes way beyond just the playing field. It goes into all of our lives, and it's really important that young people, athletes, managers, stakeholders, that we all realize that sport has this power influence, that we have a responsibility to take care for it, to make sure that ethical standards are there. And so there's a lot there that's really important.
So Eli Wolff, thank you very much. Everybody talks about the money made at the Thrilla in Manila and his 61 fights in 21 years and the Holmes knockout and even the greatest of all time licensing. But when you take a look at the Ali Center, whose tagline is "Be great and do great things," you realize there's much more than dollars attached to it. Thank you very much. Keeping score. Be back in a couple of minutes.